Ladies and gentlemen, there is something I would like you to reflect upon today. Where does self-doubt begin? You see, a tree cannot grow without a seed. In the same way, self-doubt does not simply appear. It is planted. But the question is, who planted it? And why did we allow it to grow? Sometimes the seed is planted in childhood. Perhaps someone told you, you are not good enough. Perhaps someone laughed at your dream. Perhaps someone constantly reminded you of your mistakes. Other times, the seed comes from the world around us, from comparison, from competition, from the loud voices of society that tell us we must always do more, always be better, always prove ourselves. And sometimes the seed is planted by ourselves. When we fail, once, twice, maybe many times, and instead of seeing failure as a lesson, we see it as a confirmation. Maybe I really cannot do this. But let me remind you, a seed alone cannot grow. It needs water, it needs attention, it needs belief. The problem is not just that the seed was planted. The problem is that we continue to water it. Every time we say, I'm not ready. Every time we say, others are better than me. Every time we say, I will fail again. We are watering the seed of doubt. And like a small plant, it begins to grow. It spreads quietly into our actions. It shapes our decisions. It holds us back from stepping forward. It holds us back from speaking. It holds us back from living fully. But here is the truth. The seed may have been planted by others, but the gardener is you. You choose whether to water the seed of doubt or the seed of confidence. You choose which thoughts to feed. You choose which tree you allow to grow in your mind. So let us reflect. When did you first start doubting yourself? Whose voice was it? Was it truly yours, or did you simply inherit the opinions of others? Very often, the voice that tells you you cannot is not your own voice. It is borrowed. It belongs to a fearful parent. It belongs to a critical teacher. It belongs to someone who did not have the courage to walk their own path. And yet, you have been carrying this voice for years. But today, you can choose to stop watering it. You can choose to plant something else. You can choose to grow self-trust instead of self-doubt. The most powerful thing you can do is this. Catch yourself when you are about to water the wrong seed. Stop, breathe, and ask, is this voice truly mine? The moment you recognize this, the moment you see the root, the seed of doubt begins to lose its power. Now that we have seen how the seed of doubt is planted, how it quietly takes root in our minds, let us look deeper into how this seed grows and controls us every day. This brings us to the silent voice inside, the voice of self-doubt. Many of us do not even realize how much this voice shapes our lives. It whispers quietly, almost invisibly, "You're not ready, you don't have what it takes. Better to wait. Better to stay safe." These whispers guide our actions and sometimes even our inactions. We hesitate to speak up because the voice says, "What if you're wrong?" We hold back from trying new things because it says, "What if you fail?" We settle for less than we deserve because it says, "You're not enough." But here is the irony. This silent voice, this self-doubt, is not a warning. It is a prison guard. It keeps you locked inside your comfort zone, where nothing grows. We think we are protecting ourselves from pain, from failure, from judgment, but in truth, we are limiting ourselves from growth, from freedom, from joy. Ask yourself, how many moments have you missed because you listened to that silent voice? How many opportunities passed by while you waited for permission from within? How many times did you tell yourself, "Someday when I'm ready," only to find that someday never came? This voice is powerful, but it is not the truth. It is a conditioned habit, a pattern formed by fear. To move beyond self-doubt, you must first become aware of this voice. Listen to it without judgment. See it for what it is, a habit, not reality. And then you take the power away from it. You say, "Thank you for your concern, but I will walk my path." This is the beginning of freedom. This is the first step toward trusting yourself, because you are enough just as you are. Not when you achieve, not when you prove something, but simply because you exist. So let us continue this journey from recognizing the seed of doubt to hearing the silent voice and beyond. We have now seen how self-doubt is planted and how it quietly speaks within us, shaping our actions and decisions. But there is another layer to this story, one that many do not realize. It is what I call the borrowed mirrors. We often see ourselves not through our own eyes, but through the eyes of others, through the judgments of our parents, teachers, friends, or society. We internalize their expectations, their criticisms, their fears, and slowly we begin to doubt ourselves based on what they reflect back to us. Have you ever noticed this? You try something new, and before you even start, you hear a voice inside. What will they think? Will I be judged? Will I be accepted? This is the borrowed mirror talking. It is the reflection of other people's opinions, projected onto your sense of self. The problem is, these mirrors are often distorted. They show you a version of yourself filtered through someone else's fears and limitations. And if you rely too much on these borrowed mirrors, you lose sight of your true self. You begin to ask, am I really who they say I am? Am I really capable? Am I really enough? But let me remind you, you are not your reflection in other people's eyes. Your value is not defined by their approval or disapproval. Your path is yours alone. The journey to remove doubt requires breaking free from these borrowed mirrors. It requires looking within, beyond judgment, beyond expectation, to the core of who you are. And when you do this, you begin to see yourself clearly. Not through the fog of others' opinions, but through the clarity of your own truth. This clarity is the foundation of trust. This trust is the root from which confidence grows. So ask yourself, whose voice am I hearing? Whose reflection am I trusting? Is this truly my own? When you start to question this, you open the door to freedom. You open the door to self-trust. And that is where our next step begins. Now that we have understood how self-doubt is born and how we often see ourselves through borrowed mirrors, the question remains, how do we rebuild trust in ourselves? The answer lies in a simple yet powerful practice, the practice of trust. Trust is not something that appears overnight. It is built slowly, step by step, moment by moment, like a fragile plant that needs care and patience to grow. Trust begins when you start listening to yourself without judgment. When you start honoring your feelings, your intuition, your small victories. You see, every time you choose to move forward, despite fear, every time you try again after failure, every time you say, I will try, instead of I can't, you are watering the seed of trust. It grows with awareness, with mindfulness. You become present with your thoughts and feelings, but you do not believe every doubt that arises. You learn to see doubt as just a visitor, not your master. This is the path of rebuilding confidence, not by forcing yourself to be perfect, not by silencing your fears, but by embracing them, understanding them, and choosing to act anyway. Small wins become your proof. They become the foundation for bigger leaps. So I encourage you, start small. Say yes to something you would usually hesitate on. Speak your truth in a moment of silence. Trust your voice, trust your heart. And remember, trust is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. This is how you begin to remove doubt. Not by battling it endlessly, but by gently replacing it with trust. Having begun to rebuild trust within ourselves, the final step is to walk without doubt, to live freely, aligned with who we truly are. Walking without doubt does not mean you will never feel fear or hesitation. It means that when those feelings arise, you do not allow them to stop you. You do not allow them to control your path. It means making decisions from a place of presence, not from the old habit of fear. It means moving forward with courage, knowing that even if you stumble, you will rise again. When you walk without doubt, you carry yourself lightly. Your steps are steady because they are grounded in trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your journey. You become the master of your mind rather than a servant to your fears. You begin to see challenges as opportunities, failures as lessons, and setbacks as part of growth. This is freedom. This is living in alignment with your true nature. And as you walk this path, remember, you are enough. Right now, in this moment. So I leave you with this question, one to carry with you in your heart. What is one small step you can take today to walk more confidently in your own truth? Reflect on this. Take that step and begin walking light, free, and fully alive